Fantasy.
Boom.
That's what it is.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's what it is.
Boom.
Yeah.
Fantasy Jesus,
Boom.
I'm here to save your fantasy roster.
Boom.
Fantasy Jesus, it worked for The Rock and it's gonna work for me.
Yeah.
Boom.
TSS Fantasy.
Boom.
Yeah. TSS Fantasy.
Boom.
And you just got flandered.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy.
And you just got flandered.
That's what it is.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy.
Yeah!
Wow, that was oddly weird and creepy kind of tonight.
Atlanta.
Well, we're in hot Atlanta tonight, the dirty South. Every time I bring up Atlanta, I just think of Ludacris. I don't know why that is. But anyway, Luda, Atlanta, here we go. We're continuing our summer vacation. We are in the NFC South, almost done, actually, almost halfway through the summer vacation, Nick, believe it or not. It's been a long one for sure. Let's get the introduction started. Welcome to the studio, Nick. You got flandered. Macaronis.
Yes, hello. Thank you. It's great to be here as always. And please go visit me on Twitter at Penn Flanders. Okay. You can also find me and my little quips and quizms and whatever else I got ready to go on tssfantasy.com, where you can find all of our merchandise. And more importantly, you can find our rankings. And you know what? You don't need to go anywhere else because our rankings are always on point and correct.
Always right, indeed. At least don't hold me to that anyway. All right, don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Want to know why? We have a giveaway right now, a signed Justin Jefferson jersey. All you have to do is hit subscribe. You're automatically entered, and we're giving it away this July 4th. 4th of July. It's going to be our Minnesota Vikings show even. How cool is that? Like, great timing indeed. Giving it away. Check that out. Hit subscribe before it's too late. We're going to have another giveaway, though, right after that. Don't want to spoil it. But I do want to announce next week, I got to tease it a little bit. On Friday, the Packers show, Hall of Famer Leroy Butler, ladies and gentlemen. I pray he does not lose in Fantasy Jeopardy. Please don't make me hit the button. That's all I ask.
We can fix that.
Oh, please don't. All right. I think we might have to. Don't forget to visit tssfantasy.com. As Nick alluded to earlier, we have the roundtable, all of our great exclusive content, rankings by OJ Juice is Loose Mayor, and he's got his own little articles in there as well. Justin's going to do basically a sum up of all of our tour. Also, that's also going to be in there as well. So you want to check that out. Also, we're doing the show on your fantasy league. So if you want to take your league to the next level, make sure you check that out as well on tssfantasy.com. And speaking of fantasy, we are getting close up to it. Get on Underdog. Download the app today. Use the promo code TSS. We're going to double that deposit up to $100. We're going to have all kind of contests, including Gatorland tickets, Dolphin tickets. We're going to have some cool stuff in there. So you want to check that out. You know why we do that? Because we are the fantasy show of the people. I wasn't going to let you do it tonight, Nick. I was like, because you've been stealing it from me lately. All right. We got a house call. Dr. Miller followed us to Hot Atlanta. Let's check it out. Dr. Miller house call, Hot Atlanta style.
Look, I'm a doctor, not an escalator. Spock, give me a hand.
Doctor is in back. We're in hot, dirty South Atlanta. Welcome, Dr. Miller, talking Atlanta Falcons football.
Even though we're not doing a percent to the bench, you know I'm going to work in a Kyle Pitts reference when we're talking about the Falcons.
I figured you would, but, I didn't feel like he really needed to be on this percent to the bench, being that he played all his games last year and very well, I might add as well. All right, well, speaking of Kyle Pitts, somebody's got to get him in the football. Projected starter right now is Marcus Mariota. Likes to run the football kind of carelessly sometimes as well. So that's why I threw him on here for you. Give me your percent to the bench for Marcus Mariota.
Now let's go right to the end. He's 95% to the bench. This guy hasn't played in over 10 games since 2018. Right now, he's the projected week 1 starter, but I would be surprised if he ends up starting for the duration of the season. Perhaps even worse is the likelihood that his mediocre passing is going to crush Kyle Pitts' fantasy production. So I hope he ends up on the bench early so that my boy Kyle Pitts can catch the ball.
Goodness. Wow. So, man, I don't know. It was like a personal percent to the bench kind of felt like there. All right. Well, Marcus, I hate to put the voodoo on you, but Doctor certainly got one on you. All right. Let's talk about a guy who flashed on the scene, on the fantasy scene last year. We brought him up earlier and I was noticing the numbers. This guy was getting a lot of targets, running the football and catching. Cordell Patterson. Give me your percent to the bench for this offensive weapon this season.
So Mariota's mediocrity, I think, is going to be fantasy gold for Patterson, right? He's an older back at 31, but he's played in 16 games, at least 16 games every season, except in 2018 when he played in 15 games. So this guy is consistent. Now, to quote the commissioner, you've said that consistency and reliability is the key to your fantasy draft, and Patterson does that for you. He is going to be a steal in the later rounds. We're going 20% to the bench, which, as a point of perspective, is 1/3 the running back average in the NFL. 20% to the bench, fantasy gold.
Wow, that's a big one. 20% to the bench. He was big last year for your fantasy roster. Sounds like he's going to be big again. All right, Doc, we appreciate you. Tomorrow we go back home in Florida to Tampa Bay. Are we all excited?
I'll see you in Tampa Bay.
Yes, sir. All right. Hello and welcome to the studio, young lady, as well.
Can you say hi to everybody? Say it's my bedtime and I am supposed to be in bed right now. We're just enamored with looking at ourselves.
All right.
I'll see you tomorrow in Tampa Bay.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow. You notice this year, Nick, Doc is not only bringing the percent to the bench knowledge, but he's bringing a little fantasy knowledge this year. I think he's caught up a little bit to us. Am I going to watch out on the fan league this year?
Well, I think because last season he got his butt whooped, so I think he went back to school and did some studying.
Good point. Good point. All right. We got our guest waiting. Let's bring him in. We're going to bring him in traditionally like we do. We got a little Atlanta. I found this is old school. This really sounds familiar too, by the way. Atlanta Falcons fight song. Let's bring him in.
Dirty Bird?
Fly high, Falcons, straight down the field. Fly high, Falcons, never to yield. Red and silver is Atlanta's team. When the game is over, you will reign supreme. Come on and fly high, Falcons, soar in the sky. You're the football elite. Flying higher, higher, high, fly high. Atlanta Falcons can't be beat.
That's like it feels like an old college song, quite frankly.
It does. It does.
It feels, but it's like that. It got that Eagles feel too to it a little bit. That's why I said it sounds familiar. All right, let's welcome into the studio. First up top here, we got Aaron Freeman. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Appreciate you being here, sir. It's gonna be a fun night celebrating hot Atlanta. And next, introducing Noah Tyndall. You guys are from Atlanta Falcons Nation. I know you mentioned earlier somebody else too. My bad. If you want to rep them, go right ahead. Welcome to the studio, Noah. You're on mute, bro.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here. The other channel we were repping was Mad Mike Sports, so there was a kind of coalition together. So
nice, awesome. All right, you better call him. Tyrone is in the house from the same representation. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Hey, well, I'm a part of AFN as well, but my channel is Feeder Sports Podcast. That's the channel. We're all conglomerate, so yeah.
Nice. My bad. You guys had so much going on. I didn't know what to pick from. So, all right. But don't worry. Before we go tonight, I'll make sure you guys get your chance to rep everywhere where you're from. All right. We're going to talk tonight about the ATL Atlanta Falcons. Let's start with the 2022 outlook. Talk about last season, 7-10, third in the NFC South. Offensively, points scored, you guys were 26th in the league. Pass yards, 16th. So Matt Ryan kind of kept you in ball games. Rush yards, 31. Eek. 25 overall for your offense. After 14 seasons, obviously, Mr. Matt Ryan is on his way. Defensively, 29th overall. This was the big bugaboo. 18th versus the pass, not too shabby there. 27th versus the run, and 31st overall actually in fantasy points too. So just not making the turnovers and the sacks, to make those what you need for defense. And free agency, lost Russell Gage. Obviously, we talked about Matt Ryan leaving, and Hayden Hurst as well. You added Marcus Mariota, or Doc was talking about earlier as well, and Casey Hayward for your cornerback. In the draft, obviously, Drake London, the big addition for the receiver with Calvin Ridley being gone. Desmond Ridder, who may end up being the starter here soon. That might be a big pickup for you as well. So my prediction for you guys, though, looking at the season overall, I just don't see where the additions came in that overwent the subtractions. So I'm looking right now at this team just a little less than last year at 5-12. But who cares what I think, because I don't know nothing. Let's go to Aaron Freeman first. My brother, give me your outlook for the Atlanta Falcons this season.
Yeah, I think, losing Matt Ryan is going to be a big blow to them offensively. You're not expecting necessarily the same level of consistency at the quarterback position, which can be a big blow for your offense this season. They're facing a much harder schedule this year. So, I think the team will be a lot more competitive in a lot of games. There was a lot of games last year where they really struggled against sort of the playoff caliber opponents. You saw the game where they got beat by the Cowboys by like 40 points. They got shut out by the Patriots on Thursday night. So I think against the playoff teams, they'll be a lot more competitive, but I don't necessarily see it resulting in a lot more wins. So I got them around 4 or 5 wins this year as well.
All right, so we're right around the same. Noah, let's kick it to you, sir. Give me your outlook for the Falcons this season.
So I get that there was a lot of subtractions. We didn't have Ridley for the rest of the season. We had to rely on a lot of Cordell Patterson, on a lot of Kyle Pitts. But now I don't see us having that kind of limitations on offense, if you will, because Arthur Smith, he had a lot of problems with his offensive line. And now I know that we haven't had that many acquisitions there, but look forward to training camp where we see a lot more on-pad practices to be had so that we can get a glimpse of who we have right now, see if there's any sort of improvements there. Now, defensively, there was a lot more elements than was expected. You had Arnold Ebiketie in the draft last year, who was a fantastic pass rusher. So that's a huge boost to our defensive line. You also have Grady Jarrett. You got to remember that. Our Deion Jones situation is still really up in the air, but to suppress that, you have Rashaan Evans, who's back with Dean Pease, who he absolutely loves to coach. You have Troy Anderson, one of the most athletic players in the draft, and I know that it's kind of a stigma for a lot of people, but believe me, he is so much more versatile than you remember. Now, our cornerbacks, we had AJ Terrell, the best cornerback in NFL. You can at me at that, all right? Because he gave up the least amount of yards, gave up the least amount of expected points. Any other metric you want to use, he was better than your other cornerback that you have in mind. So You have him back. You have help on the other side, like you mentioned with Casey Hayward, another sneaky good cornerback. You bring Isaiah Oliver back, who also had fantastic grades when he was healthy. So you bring him back in the slot. You bring a lot of different elements to the playbook, which we were not able to run comfortably. So now you have a fully unleashed offensive playbook. You also can't forget about the acquisitions of Brian Edwards, the trade. There's a sneaky component with Damier Beard, who we signed from the Bears. And we also can't forget about the resurgence or the possible resurgence of Tyler Algier, who was also in the draft class. I have him expected as our running back 1 because no one is more excited to put on the pads in the training camp than this guy. All right, so he is physical. He's ready to prove himself, one of the most productive running backs in the draft class last year, and he was the guy to stop. So that just goes to show that he's ready for a workload. So I can see that, yeah, we may not have as many wins as like enough to win the division, but I actually see us, because of the NFC and looking what it is as in totality, we could make a sneaky appearance in the 7th seed.
Ooh, Noah's fired up tonight. Hot in ATL. All right, dial him up. Tyrone, let's call you in. What do you say, sir? What do you got for this season?
So I'm a very big trench guy. Played online my whole high school football career. So really my whole football career, I played online. So my thing was, when you look at our O-line, like you said, our rushing numbers, and you look at our D-line, and you look at how we got ran against, when you have guys that you didn't have a solid nose, your only really good starting D lineman was Grady Jarrett last year. Let's be honest. You only had one really solid good D lineman. And then you think about your O-line, you had a rookie come in that was supposed to play right tackle, had to go in the left guard due to injury. You had a center who hadn't really had experience starting with a veteran quarterback. So, I mean, you had miscues between the O-line, had miscues in the D-line. Your linebacking core, you like Noah alluded to, you bring in Troy Anderson, you bring in Rashad Evans. We lost Foye, but when you think about losing what we lost and what we gained, you didn't lose a lot. I would say, in my eyes, and like you said, Brian, and we brought in wide receivers, we brought in a lot of guys that are role players. It's a role player built team. It's not like we got all these superstars. A lot of these guys are role players. And what they do in Arthur Smith's system, nobody on this team none of our wide receivers besides Zacchaeus and like 2 other guys are under 6'3". Like we have nothing but basketball players. We have nothing but 50-50 ball guys. And to Dr. Fantasy, the mediocre pass game of Marcus Mariota won't be as mediocre when you have guys with wingspans as long as they do. When they can go and get the ball, which they have been alluding to. A lot of our wide receivers have said in their interviews, look, we can go and get these balls because we're bigger. And he doesn't have to put it in a certain spot because they're smaller. Russell Gage was our number 1 wide receiver last year. And look at what he's doing in Tampa. He's now the number 3 in Tampa. So he's not a number 1 wide receiver. Keys was our number 2. And then you had to use Cordero Patterson as a running back, a wide receiver, might as well play tight end, might as well play O-line. He was just everywhere. So you have to think that you have more talent now. And the rookie class we brought in, you addressed your wide receiver issue. Of course, we won't have Calvin this year, but like we said, Brian Edwards, Tate, all of the guys we brought in at wide receiver, all the guys we brought in O-line wise, all the guys we brought in D-line wise, they're going to have to gel. And Dean Pease is he's a legend. You can't deny what he's done in his coaching career. He's going to coach these guys. I trust our coaching staff. My season prediction, like Noah said, it's really 8-9 in my eyes. I think that's our win percentage. For me, I think we're going to win 8 or 9.
Wow, Nick, Atlanta Falcons Nation, rise up tonight. I'm fired up. I'm ready to run through a wall for Atlanta tonight. These guys got me fired up. What do you say, Nick? What do you think? You gonna rain on the parade?
Oh, it's gonna be a hurricane on the parade. Okay. First of all, do they still call it Hotlanta? Or is
I don't.
Oh, is that not a thing anymore?
No, I don't.
That's not a thing? Okay, good. We'll just bury that one. Okay, we'll bury that one. Okay, the 2 white guys calling it Hotlanta. We're done. So, number two, Noah and Tyrone, I think y'all should run for office because you tell a lot of people what they want to hear. Holy crap. You have the 27th ranked offensive line coming into this season.
Yeah.
You have the worst starting quarterback coming into this season. Oh, all right, fine, fine. He's better than Zach Wilson. Fine, okay, but
hey, that was not reflected in you guys' fantasy rankings on your website.
you have like, I'm looking at your roster. You have like 15 wide receivers, and 3 of them I only heard of. Excuse me, 4. You guys, the Dolphins had the no-name defense. You guys got to have the no-name roster. All right. Cordero Patterson is going to be used up by week 7. Your third offensive player is your kicker. Okay, he's your third highest rated player is going to be your kicker, and your 2 teams that are going to be on the field the most this season coming up is your defense and your KOR. So, I wouldn't draft any Falcons offensive player. I wouldn't even draft their defense. If I would be anybody, I would say stay off Atlanta.
Nick,
no
Nick
offensive player.
Nick,
Not even Kyle Pitts.
Nick,
who's getting him the ball? Who's getting him the ball?
Yeah, but like this is.
He's got the catch radius in order to catch anything.
It's one thing to disagree with the guests. It's another thing to just completely just stomp on like their entire dreams. Like, geez.
So I predicted you're gonna have 4 wins this season.
Okay, that's great. Moving on, let's go on to the best game of the season. What game are you most excited about? Let's go to Noah first with this one. Noah, give me a game on your schedule you're most excited for.
So I'm going to leave week 1 open to whoever else wants to take it because I understand the implications of that game for us. But I'm going to go dead center in the season facing the Chargers. I think right around there is a sweet spot in which we have to get our things together if we want to be as good as we think we are. So if we have to develop some sort of a groove, then right after that, you'll have your other opponents like the Steelers who still have a little bit of question marks on their offense. You have the Panthers almost back to back. You have the Commanders who, yeah, we understand that what Carson Wentz can do over them and the good things that they provide. Everything else in the offense is key, but we also played them competitively last year too. And had we had some semblance of a cornerback too, and had we had some semblance of a kick return in order to stop that, we could have won that game last year. But I digress. Then you have the Bears and you have all these other opponents. It's like you can relatively think of winnable games through a certain stretch, and that all happens with the Chargers game. So if we're on the right track and if we're as competitive as we think that we are, then we can use that momentum to carry us into these next stretch of games. So I see that as a positive game to look forward to. It's a great litmus test for us to have in the middle of the season.
You're not lying. I mean, they beat the Chargers. I totally agree. Absolutely. All right, Tyrone, what say you, sir? Give me a game you're excited for this season.
Well, Noah threw me the alley-oop, so I'm gonna catch it. Week 1. Week 1. I hate the Saints. I'm just gonna put it out there. I hate the Saints. I want the Saints to be the worst team in the league every year. I just hope, the stadium caught on fire. I stood up and cheered. I was actually happy. I dislike the Saints. It's so funny. I'm gonna say something. My cousin, he signed as an unrestricted free agent to the Saints, and I was not happy. I would not buy that jersey. It would not be worn around my house. It won't. But the implications in week 1, even if they don't have Kamara, it's still a big game. It's a rivalry game. We don't like each other. It's the first game. It's in Mercedes-Benz. It's a tone setter for the season. You go out there and you beat the Saints. They have a new coaching staff. It's really like a new coaching staff versus new coaching staff thing. It's a really big game. It's an energy game for the city. It can really kill the fan base or it can really uplift the fan base. And the other game, I have 2, and then San Francisco. I just really care about San Francisco because of the jersey. I'm going to be honest. We got the new jerseys. We play them with San Francisco, and I can't wait to see him in person. So the helmet, it's really the helmet, but the jersey looks cool. Everything looks cool. It'll be a great game. And I think I love seeing us beat Kyle Shanahan. So I want to see us beat Kyle Shanahan. That's another thing.
Whatever the reason, it makes it your favorite game. It's cool, bro. Absolutely. All right, Mr. Freeman, what say you, sir? Give me a game you're excited for.
I think Tyrone's right that the week 1 game is kind of the tone setter for the season, but The game I'm looking forward to is the Week 11 game against the Bears, because the Falcons had an opportunity to take Justin Fields at the top of last year's draft, and I'm just a big proponent of chaos at this point in time. So I'm eager to see what the result of that game is. Obviously, if the Falcons win, everybody will be like, haha, we told you. The Falcons made the right choice. If they lose that game, then everybody's going to be, crying in their Cheerios about, what it means for the season. And that's certainly one of the most winnable games on the Falcons schedule. So if they lose that game, that's probably not a good sign for the rest of the season. So I'm a big fan of chaos. So whatever the outcome of that game, it will be a fun sort of reaction the rest of that week.
I like that one. How about what say you, Nick? Give me a game you're excited for.
Okay, so I'm going to take a page from Noah. I'm going to go to the other Saints game because it's at the end of the schedule. It's Week 15, December 18th. It's in the Caesars Superdome. Now the thing is, if Atlanta is at that point vying for a playoff spot, that's the game that's going to probably determine them whether they're in or out. So I'm going to say that game, December 18th, Week 15.
I'm going to go Christmas Eve. Absolutely. Always like it, but this is good. You got Atlanta going to Baltimore, visiting Lamar Jackson. Boy, that's a big, talking about a litmus test down the road. That's going to be a possible. I know the Ravens are definitely want to be in the playoff race towards the end. If the Falcons are in it, this is going to be a big time game, hard hitting game at least. So we're going to see if that defense can step up. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. We're going to play Fantasy Feud Falcon style. We'll be right back.
Hayden, we love fantasy football. We do. It's a fantastic game, yet still not perfect. Like, I hate leaving high-scoring players on my bench.
The worst, man.
In fact, hate it even more when I put injured players and they're in my starting lineup.
Can't have that.
And I need a life. The waivers, the trades, every single week, it grinds on me. So we at Underdog Fantasy want to make fantasy football easier for everyone out there. It's called Best Ball, and we set your optimal lineup for you each and every week. You can do it all year long. We have drafts going all the way from February to week 1 of the NFL season. What are you waiting for? Use our awesome early sign-up offer to get a little extra something on that first deposit and that first time you play on Underdog Fantasy.
You put them up, reach the skies as the stars up above, cause it's one time for the underdog, one time for the underdog.
All right, so unfortunately, I don't have any fancy buzzers. So basically, the rules are I'm going to ask the question, you will shout out the answer, and then whoever I hear say the answer gets control and gets to essentially tries to close out the round, and you have 3 strikes just like Family Feud, essentially. If you don't, then we just got to mix. I'll have to mix it up since it's a triple threat match, and we'll just mix it up, giving someone else a chance to steal. That's how we usually work it. All right, guys, with all that said, it's time to play the feud. Brad?
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. It's going to be a long game. Not going to be a long game tonight because we got Atlanta Falcon experts in the building, so it won't be long at all. All right, we're going to start out question number 1. Top 5 answers on the board. Here's the question. Give me top 5 QB passing TD leaders of all time.
We just got to give one answer?
Yeah.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
I need to really get you there.
All right, so Noah, you have control of the round. Matt Ryan's number 1 on this list, 367 TDs. Who else you got?
Ooh, Steve Bartkowski.
Steve Bartkowski. Number 2 on this list, 154. So you got number 1 and 2.
154. Michael Vick.
Michael Vick. He is number 5 on this list with 71. So you got number 3 and 4 still remaining. No strikes.
All right, let's go Chris Chandler.
Chris Chandler. Ooh, we go right down the list. Number 3 with 87.
Ooh, Chris Miller.
Chris Miller. Noah just swept around. Great job indeed, my brother. Chris Miller actually is tied with Chris Chandler at 87. For some reason, they had Chris Chandler above him, so I don't know why. But either way, great job on that one. All right, guys, we're warmed up now. All right, Aaron and Tyrone, let's go. We got to get you in here. Top 5 answers on the board. Here's the question. Give me the top 5 rushing TD leaders of all time.
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner.
No, he's up there. He's not number 1 though. He's not gonna be number 1.
He actually is number 160 on the list.
Wow, that just threw me all the way off now. Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn.
Let me think.
Number 7.
Number 7 on the list.
Can I steal?
Not yet.
Oh, who else can I think of? Oh my God. Why are the running backs just slipping? Oh, Devontae Freeman.
Devonta Freeman. He's number 4 on this list with 32.
He played like 5 seasons. How is he like number 5?
That's
They
what
ran
I'm
a lot.
saying. Like he's oh man. You pulling knowledge. Now you pulling 90s knowledge. Bro. I'm 20. You pulling knowledge I don't have, man. Oh man. Oh man. I'm trying to think of running backs recently. That's Devontae's the most recent. Michael Turner. Warwick Dunn. Well, I can't believe Warwick Dunn is in top 5. Oh
Yeah, for 7 years.
yes. Oh man. Why can I not think it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it up because I can't think of any other quarterback. I don't know why I can't.
All right, you got no more guesses, bro. I'm gonna give you one last go before your 3rd strike.
Why did his name just slip my mind? His son just committed. Oh, his son just committed to Clemson. Oh my, Jamal Anderson.
Jamal Dirty Bird Anderson. Number 3 on this list. You saved it right there. He's with 34. So you got number 2 and number 5 still left.
Oh God. Jamal Anderson. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I can't think of nobody else.
Stop it. Get some help.
His son saved me. You know what? His son really saved me because I thought about his son committing to Clemson. That's the only reason I thought about Jamal Anderson.
Aaron, I'm going to go to you for the chance to steal it since Noah got one already. Do you got number 2 or 5 on this list?
William Andrews.
William Andrews. Not on the list. Noah.
William Andrews was number 6.
Close.
Gerald Riggs.
Gerald Riggs.
Wow.
I didn't think you'd ever hear
No,
him.
you stole it. No, he was number 2 at 48.
Yeah, but he played in the 80s.
Number 5 on this
yeah.
list was T.J. Duckett, 31.
Out of Michigan State, T.J. Duckett.
All right, let's go with this fun question. Top 5 answers on the board. Here's the question. Give me top 5 opponents you have the best winning percentage against.
The Saints.
The New Orleans Saints.
No, we lead it.
Lions.
Detroit Lions.
I think it's Carolina.
Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 29 teams to go.
The Panthers.
The Panthers.
They have to be on the list.
Number 2 on the list, 34-20. You got a 630 average. All right, you control.
Who else have we always beat in my whole life? Man, who else do we? The Bears.
The Chicago Bears.
And that's the Patriots. We're gonna beat the Patriots.
Got 1 strike remaining and a lot of meat on the bone.
Oh man. The Chargers.
The Chargers.
Really? That's
Number 1, 8-3 against the Chargers.
Oh, okay. Only like 10 times.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. It's probably West Coast. I feel like it's more West Coast teams than it is East Coast. I'll go the Rams.
The Rams.
Oh, hell no!
Aaron, a lot of meat on the bone. 3, 4, and 5 on this list. Can you guess one of them?
Jaguars.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I didn't think about Jacksonville.
Number 3, you guys are 5-3 against them. Number 4, 8-5, the Jets. 5, the Giants. 14-11. You own New York, apparently. All right, let's switch it around a little bit. Top 5 answers on the board. Let's go with the teams you have the worst winning percentage against.
Patriots.
New England Patriots.
I know they're up there.
No, if it was Tom Brady, that would have been correct. But
Yeah.
Steve
Grogan wasn't beating you.
49ers.
49ers.
We play a lot.
Ooh, this is
feel like
tough.
they never
It doesn't necessarily have to be you played a lot.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't make it any better. Like this is our birthday since 1965, in which we've been a team. That doesn't narrow it down a whole lot. Maybe the Texans.
The Texans. This might be a long game.
Yeah.
Does anybody have? Oh, no, nobody has control of the board yet. Okay.
Yep,
Dallas?
29 still to go.
The Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Nope. You're 11-19 against the Cowboys.
The worst. Pittsburgh has to be on that list.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
You lost to Pittsburgh like 4 times.
All right,
Tyrone
you got
again
the
getting control.
You lost to Pittsburgh 14 times. You're 2-14.
I knew Pittsburgh.
2-14. They're
That's the
number
one
2
we
on
had.
this list.
We had the one tie back in 2002.
Okay, I'm not counting ties. That's a loss.
2-14, 147 average. All right, Tyrone, you control again. Go right ahead.
Baltimore.
The Baltimore Ravens.
It's gonna be a good team.
One strike left.
You're 2-4 against Baltimore.
Okay. Buffalo.
The Buffalo Bills.
You're 7-6. You have a winning record against Buffalo.
Ooh. Aaron, I'm going to give you a chance again to steal it. You got the answer.
Eagles.
The Eagles.
Nope, you're 15, 21, and 1 against Philly.
Noah, what
I think you didn't count ties.
Well, you brought it up, so I might as well.
Oh. Packers?
The Green Bay Packers.
16 and 19.
Either way, you're the winner tonight, Noah, because there's no other way for anyone to get anything else. But the rest of them, the Colts, you were number 1 is 2 and 15 against them. The Browns were number 3 on this list, 3 and 12. Chiefs 4, 3 and 7, and the Seahawks 6 and 12 against Seattle. So now you know if you're in New York, you can tell your friends, like, listen, the Atlanta Falcons, we own New York. That's all you need to know from the night. Noah,
Freddie, we're here.
Noah, my friend, congratulations. You are tonight's winner. And Aaron and Tyrone, as tradition on our show, you guys are tonight's losers.
Dumbass. Thank these. They call me dumbass. Stupid.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Sorry, y'all.
Ain't that a kick in the pants?
That was good. That was good.
Man, I got a thumbs up from Chuck Norris. You got yelled at.
Hey, but it was a good game tonight, though. Nonetheless, you guys are bringing the Atlanta knowledge. Those questions about those teams are hard. That's why I brought them in there. And it's good to know, actually. That way, if you know a friend who knows those teams, you could be like, yo, I own you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are a fantasy show. Believe it or not, we're going to talk about some fantasy. Believe it or not. We're going to take a quick break. We're right back.
Hey everyone, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. Want to give your own fantasy league that extra professional touch? Say less, we got you. TSS was based off a show that we did on our own fantasy league. Night, sorry, and now possible play hole. You're on your way. Now we want to bring that professional, fun, and creative side to your fantasy league. And you can do it for as low as $5 extra per owner.
Oh my.
I will guarantee it will increase your interactions within the league, create more fun, friendly banter, and give your league that extra real-life feel that you didn't know it needed. We look forward to interacting with you and your league soon. Don't forget TSSFantasy.com. Go visit it today. Get signed up. We are the fantasy show of the people.
Take your league to the next level indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk fantasy. Are you ready?
Hey everyone, it's Commissioner Cooper from...
I hit the wrong promo, my bad. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You gotta get rid of those people in the truck, man. They don't know what they're doing. All right, let's talk fantasy rankings. Marcus Mariota right to the quarterback position. Again, projected starter as of right now. I have him ranked, I have him ranked currently number 28 is where I have him, I believe. And I think I wrote horrible notes here, but it looks like I wrote he was 57th last year, but only played in 7 games. And we saw what Marcus Mariota looked like last year. It was just on a, kind of like a Taysom Hill type role. where he came in sporadically, did a few things. Again, looked good though when he did come in. So again, there is some plus to Marcus Mariota. He's got a lot to prove. He's almost like I feel like a Ryan Tannehill type situation where he's going to a new team where he has a lot to prove and could certainly do well in this offense, especially on, the way he can run the football. But again, you have Desmond Ridder. I have him 36 in case Marcus Mariota does flounder a little bit. Do see Desmond Ridder stepping in and filling in nicely in this offense as well. So Nick, let's go to you first, sir. What say you on the Atlanta Falcons QB situation?
Okay, I'm gonna correct myself. On my rankings presently, I have him at 28th. I'm gonna drop him to 31. Okay, so he's right above Drew Lock. So he's gonna be doing a lot of handing off, and also, like I said before, you have a 27 ranked offensive line. So it's not gonna do you a whole lot of good to have him back there. That's why Matty Ice said, "See you later." So I'm going to say he's at number 31.
I don't think that's why Matty Ice said, "See you later." All right, Tyrone, we haven't started with you. Let's start with you first. What do you think of our assessment of the Atlanta QB rankings? Where do you think that Marcus should be at, or maybe even Desmond?
Desmond's in the right spot. I feel like you have Desmond because we don't know. Like I say, uncertainty is the thing right now. I feel like Marcus Mariota, if he does start, and if he's in if the offense is proficient behind him, he's going to jump on a lot of people's boards. And a lot of people might grab him off the waiver wire after week 1, after week 2, especially if he has really good games. So I mean, 28 is fair because of uncertainty. I'm going to say it's fair because of uncertainty. He can go a lot high. He can be higher or he can be lower. But I think 28 is fair for what the situation is right now.
All right, Noah, what are you going to say? You were the start of the big, the big drum, I guess, for the Atlanta offense. What do you say about our QB predictions?
Noah's the hype man. That's what he is. He's the hype man.
So if you're going to push him down to 31, is that going to be just above or underneath Davis Mills?
You know what? That could be even as far as I'm concerned.
So on par with Davis Mills, underneath Mitchell Trubisky, underneath Jimmy Garoppolo, who's probably not even a projected starter, underneath Daniel Jones, which, as it is, given the previous years in which Mariota was the starter for the Titans back in, from 2015 on to when he got benched and had to heal up his body in 2019, other than his rookie season, he never had a losing record in the NFL. He was 9-7 2016, went to the playoff game, came back against the Chiefs, won that game. 2017, 9-7. 2018, 9-7. Now, he has proven to carry a lot of his bad, traditions, and his, like traditional offenses, if you will. Didn't have a whole lot of help in the receiving game, but he had tremendous help in the run game. Had tremendous help with his offensive line. He's not going to get a lot of that help this year immediately, but I can say that he's a different quarterback at this stage in his career, right? He's seen the ups and downs of being an NFL player. He's seen a resurgence of his backup back in Tennessee, taking over that role and turning that offense into a top 10 offense in the NFL. Now, that offensive coordinator that did that is our head coach. Now, he brought him back over to our situation because, A, he knows the system basically like the back of his hand right now. There wasn't a whole lot to change. B, he had a rest season of 2020 and 2021 where he didn't have to be the starter. He didn't have to take those lumps as a traditional full-time 17-game starter. So you're going to see a lot more healthier Marcus Mariota. You're going to see a mentally healthier Marcus Mariota because he's taken that time to just really sink into the playbook, which he's been able to do behind the tutelage of Derek Carr. So I like his projections. Now, if you're going to have him this low because of his injury, now I can understand that. So what to do in this situation? Is Desmond Ridder going to be on par with or is he going to be that far away in terms of separation from Mariota? I could see that, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of hesitations on where you rank Desmond Ridder. Although I will say, Justin, your other guy, He needs to spell his name correctly. He was the only one that gave him a full name, and it's Desmond, not Decimand Ritter. All right. I just thought I'd call that out. But
hooked on phonics over here.
So, yeah, I can see the situations where he wouldn't be as high, but you also got to remember he's a mobile quarterback. He's going to have a lot of different targets in order to throw to. We're going to have different ways of going down the field than we did last year. And by the way, he's got every single skyscraper you can think of at offense. So I don't see a whole lot of troubles with his accuracy. I don't see a whole lot of troubles with his poise in the pocket, as he's going to be a much more mentally stable guy. He's going to have his poise. He's going to have his experience, and I think he'll do just fine.
No, I got to check out your hair. I just feel like you're like the Don King of the Atlanta Falcons at this point. Aaron Freeman, we need to spike that up a little bit. What say you, sir? Do you think we got them in the right spot?
I mean, I think Ritter's probably in the right spot. I think Mariota's in that area, probably somewhere in the mid-20s. I think he'll be productive when he's out there on the field. I think his running ability will be an asset. As Nick says, the Falcons' offensive line isn't great. So he'll be running around a lot this year. So he'll be able to pick up some yards with some of those scramble yards or whatever. I do think, he'll take some shots down the field with the skyscrapers at wide receiver and tight end with Kyle Pitts this year. I think the Falcons will be more efficient in the red zone. But the reason why I don't think you can put Ritter super, super high on your rankings just because the expectations he's not going to play probably a full season. Like I would set the over-under on how many games he starts this year probably at 10, and I would probably take the under, not necessarily because he'll get hurt or whatever the case may be, but, based off of my earlier projections for this Falcons team, I'm not expecting them to, I think they'll be out of playoff contention probably close to mid-season. And at that point in time, the Falcons really should be looking to get Ritter on the field sooner versus later to sort of kick his tires to see what he can do. So I think that likelihood that Mariota's probably not going to be the starter for 17 games this year probably precludes him from being significantly higher in your rankings.
Well, that certainly makes sense indeed. All right, let's go on to the running back situation.
Great analysis.
Yeah, indeed. Talked about Mr. Patterson last year. Came on the scene like just a gangbusters. Number 12 last year in fantasy rankings. This year I got him ranked 18th only because just the uncertainty of the offense. Not really sure what it's going to look like right now, but he's still that weapon, still somebody to look at the running back and the receiver position. Damian Williams as well. Talked about the rookie. Noah's big on the rookie, so I don't even have him ranked. So I like to hear Noah's when we get around to that. But Nick, let's go to you. Where do you have the running backs ranked in here in Atlanta?
Cordero Patterson, man, I have him at 8th. Again, I do PPR rankings, so he's going to get a lot of his points out of the backfield on swing passes, short slants here and there. So I have him in 8th. And again, he's their number one offensive option. So he's going to be on the field. I think he's get the ball at least. He might get the ball 40% of the time. So that's why I have him up there at 8th.
Indeed. Even though earlier you said he wouldn't draft anybody. Noah, what say you, sir? Where do you got the running backs at?
Except him.
And except Kyle Pitts.
Right.
Justin, one more time. You don't even have Cordero Patterson in your top 60, so we got to talk about that. But anyways, Damian Williams. It's interesting. I'm going to start with him because I understand that he's probably going to get a little bit more hype just due to his namesake and due to his experience in the NFL. But he's at least 30, and I don't know if we're going to have that type of workload on him. Whereas comparison, you get a Tyler Algier, you get the workhorse in, you get him those lumps, get them early. I think he's most likely to be the future back because of his fantastic vision out the gate. And that's one of the things that I was higher on him than other running backs in this class. So you get that projection. You have Cordero Patterson, which I understand that, yeah, you're not going to be as high as him as far as last season, because last season it was surprising to everyone. Although I kind of called it back in week 2, if you go back on our shows, but anyways, so yeah, the uncertainty of the offense is something to be said about Cordero Patterson's production, but either way, wherever he's going to be placed at, if they're going to treat him as he did last season, you have your ESPN rankings where you can list him as both a wide receiver and a running back. So that's going to be valuable for your team, just regardless of who you have else available. Whether an injury comes up, or whether a bye week comes up for another player, or whether just the matchup you like is more confident then. So I can understand all that. So I'm curious as to why you have Damien Williams so high in comparison. But hey, I'm all for the optimism. It's more than what we've been able to get outside of our fan base.
Mr. Freeman, what say you, sir? Where we have the running backs ranked?
Yeah, I think Patterson, that's probably fair in that range. I think you're hopeful and optimistic about his contributions in the passing game just because he won't be splitting probably as many reps with Mike Davis on passing downs as he will be with this new crop. That's probably where Damian Williams will get a little bit more run than Tyler Algier just because he's a little bit more proven as a pass protector. And that was kind of towards the end of the season, Mike Davis's primary role in the passing game to sort of be that pass protector so that the Falcons could line Patterson up more at wide receiver. I think the thing that hurts Patterson in the passing game is just because the Falcons should have more weapons that they'll be able to distribute the ball a little bit more. So he may not get as big a share of the targets this year as he did a year ago. So that kind of balances it. There's a give and take there. So I wouldn't necessarily move him too far up or too far down based off his pass game stuff. The run game stuff probably will take a dip. I think the Falcons do intend to have Tyler Algier be their sort of go-to, running back in terms of rushing the ball, particularly when we get to the red zone. I think they're going to want Algier to grind out those carries in short yardage in the red zone and whatnot. So I do think there's a potential that Algier could vulture a couple of touchdowns from Patterson this year. And I think the Falcons will want to dial back Patterson's workload just because he's getting up there in age and they don't want to put too much wear and tear on those tires, because we saw last year he got hurt around mid-season, and as the season progressed, that last month of the season, his limitations or injuries limited him quite a bit there. So I think the Falcons want to avoid that and try to keep him as fresh as possible. So probably early in the season, you'll see them try to keep him on like a pitch count. So that could also diminish his fantasy value. But I think all in all, his rushing success will go down, but his passing production probably would go up, and so it's going to balance out. And so somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, I think is pretty fair for him.
All right, I like that analysis there. Tyrone, what say you, sir?
If you're looking for a flex, like if you really think you need like a good flex position, he'll be really good in the flex. I think because we like Aaron said, his run production might be down a little bit, but his pass production should go up, because I don't think he's going to play straight. Like everybody's been saying, he's not just going to play. He's not just going to be our running back. I think because you have Algier, you have Damian Williams, and we did add I can't even think. One of our cornerbacks moved over to running back now. So now you have four. You have four guys in the running back room, and you have more speed. He's going to turn into a guy, like you said, like Nick said, swing passes, short slants, a lot of that RPO. He'll be more of that slot guy in the RPO. That's why I say you can put him at flex. I wouldn't start him at running back. That would be my thing. I think I wouldn't start him at running back. I would put him in a flex spot, or I'd have him in my running back 2 position. But he would be like my running back 1.
He'd definitely be the ultimate flex this year for sure. Talking about receivers, Drake London, I have him 29th. I mean, and why not? Should be a target monster in Atlanta. I don't see why not. And Brian Edwards coming over. He was 62 last year. And Zacchaeus, you mentioned him earlier, was 77th last year. So some guys to look out for. And might as well just throw in Pitts there as well, because I have him number 5 this year, number 9 last year. Pitts was. Nick, what do you got on our receivers and tight ends?
Okay, so you threw me a curveball. So Drake London, I have him as your highest ranked wide receiver right now at 37, and only because I don't know. Like Tyrone said, it's a rookie. He's never stepped in the field. You don't know. Well, I'm looking up my tight end rankings. I think I have Pitts at like 3 or 4. But I just want to say this: if Deshaun Watson gets less games suspended than Calvin Ridley, that's a crime. That's all I'm gonna say on that. So and then Zacchaeus, he had that one big game. I think that was a London game. He he busted out, and then you never heard from him again. So and then
I think his
Edwards,
best fantasy game was actually against the Saints.
was it? Okay,
Yeah,
I knew.
he had 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, okay, I knew he had one big game, but yeah. So again, London and Pitts they're gonna receive the most of the action through the air, and then everybody else is gonna be, hey, if I can't find them and I see you're open, you're getting the ball. So I wouldn't really count on those other guys except for Patterson, Pitts, and London.
Not really sure that that's how they're going to set the offensive plays, Nick. But all right, let's go.
You
to
never
Mr.
know.
Mr. Freeman, what say you, sir, on the receivers?
I think, you think you said Drake London like 29. I think 25, 30, somewhere around there is fair. He'll get a big target share this year. Is basically he'll be the number 2 after Kyle Pitts. So I'm expecting him to get at least 100, 120 targets. So that should be good enough opportunity for him to crack like the top 30 or so fantasy rankings. I would probably say the only other wide receiver that I would probably roster from the Falcons is Bryan Edwards. I do think he'll be sort of the number 2 wide receiver. So he'll be basically the number 3 guy. And it'll be a question of whether him or Patterson is sort of the third most used guys. And that's just going to depend on how quickly Edwards gets up to speed in the offense. But he has the benefit of knowing Marcus Mariota, so there's going to be some natural comfort there. So he should get off to a pretty good start in that way. So I think he'll probably, I don't know where this would put him in the rankings, but probably get you like 60, 70 catches and maybe 700, 800 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So I think that will be a player that, is not going to start for a lot of teams in fantasy, but certainly a guy that can be a sort of a bye week substitute or something.
Like that indeed. All right, let's go to you, Tyrone. What do you say?
Drake, like you said, like a lot of it's so much uncertainty. But I think my thing for Drake, I feel like Drake is, because we know Kyle Pitts is our number 1 tight end option, Drake is our number 1 wide receiver option. We already know that, and we have to expect that we're gonna throw him the ball a lot. And I feel like he has a lot of rack catches. If you watched him at USC, he has a lot of rack catches. He has a lot of breaking tackles. He's very big and strong. So the yardage, I feel like his yardage in games, he might not have a lot of touchdowns, but he might have a lot of yards. We had the same problem with Pitts last year in fantasy. He had almost 1,000 yards with only 1 touchdown. So you're going to see – hopefully it's a switch. Hopefully it's a lot more touchdowns, a lot less yards. Hopefully it's that. But – fantasy-wise, I think Drake at 25 to 30 is a good rank. I think Pitts is I'm going to be biased. Pitts is is number 2 in my eyes at tight end behind Kelsey. So especially thinking like at that point of what we're going to use him in our offense and what Arthur Smith showed us last year, now he has people around him and pieces that can get him open more, because you can't just double coverage him and leave Cordell one-on-one. You can't leave Drake one-on-one. You can try to leave Bryan Edwards one-on-one, but he's pretty fast, so he might burn you. And then you don't want to leave him one-on-one. It's a lot of coverage things, a lot of fast guys, and a lot of big guys. And a lot of these corners aren't the same size as a lot of these wide receivers. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of up ball. It's going to be a lot of jump balls, a lot of fun. I feel like it's going to be a lot more racks. So if you're a yardage, if you like a lot of yardage, it's going to be you're going to have maybe, I think Bryan Edwards gets about 500 this season. Drake gets close to about 6, 7, and then I think if Pitts gets another 1,000-yard season, I think you got to give him his credit. So but there'll be a lot more touchdowns for him. So I think that's why I put him at number 2.
Yeah, I think game flow, sometimes dictates that, and you're right. It might, swing Pitt's way this year as far as TD goes. All right, Noah, what do you say, sir?
Yeah, a lot of guys have Drake London around the same exact spot. Although Nick was a little bit lower. I think he has him as a second receiver underneath Christian Watson as far as a rookie is concerned. But actually, I was going to be a little bit opposite of what Tyrone was projecting, because, yeah, we know that he's a yards getter. We know that Drake London is a yards getter. Like, you go back to his USC tape, they ran a lot of wide receiver screens, and Keaton Slovis is not the most accurate quarterback either, but yet he still had 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns in 8 games after his, before his injury. So, yeah, he's been the workload at USC. And now he doesn't have to be that because Kyle Pitts is that role. So I'm actually expecting Kyle Pitts to be more of the yards getters, more of that Julio Jones type of role, where he was going to get you all the yards. He's going to get you back into the red zone. But then you're either going to have Drake London or you're going to have Brian Edwards or Cordell Patterson. These are going to be the drive finishers. So because you can either take a wide receiver screen, go 2 yards, and make it like an 8 or 10-yard game just because he's just fighting, right? You go back to Brian Edwards, always a reliable target for Derek Carr in the red zone because you gave him a decent amount of looks there. So Raiders did not know how to properly use him in the right manner, so maybe we can use him here because we traded to get him. We have a plan for him, so I like the optimistic of that. Now I mentioned Damiere Byrd earlier. This because I see a lot of similarities in between what he is and what Cordell Patterson was when we signed him. Mostly a kick returner. He was found on the Patriots, was found on the Bears, now brought over here, a little bit older, didn't have a good enough of a role. Now he's undersized, like 5'9", but this dude can also be as either a scat back or a wide receiver in the slot, and he can also has the ability to take a screen, take a circle route, take just a simple route that you can give him and take it the distance. So we've even seen that last year with the Bears. So I like the chances, but the problem is with this offense, there's only one football to go around. So because of that, you're going to see a good amount of diminishing. So I don't see a Drake London having a ton of catches and maybe not a ton of yards. Like I don't know if he breaks 1,000, but he's probably going to at least have like 8 or 10 touchdowns in the season.
Yeah. So, number one, let me just say this. This is why we do this summer vacation. This is great insight, guys, because, we don't know Atlanta very well. And you guys are really busting out some great knowledge for us tonight. So I just want to say we appreciate you coming on.
I went to school tonight.
Definitely. I feel schooled. All right, let's go. We'll go to Mr. Freeman first. Let everyone know where they can subscribe and find all your great stuff.
They can check me out 5 days a week on Locked On Falcons, Daily Falcons podcast. You can find that on your preferred podcast platform as well as on YouTube. They can check me out on Twitter at FalcFans, at FalcFans, being very snarky about the Atlanta Falcons.
I feel locked on for sure after tonight. Tyrone and Noah, I guess, whatever. Which one do you want to take it first? Let us know where we can find all your great stuff. Tyrone, we'll go to you first.
All right. Okay. Well, first off, the hoodie. Call on Tyrone, Fila SP, Fila_SP on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube at Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. Weekly, I do everything. We do Falcons, Hawks, Braves, United, Dream. Whatever you want to come in there and watch about Atlanta sports, we probably have a video on it. Big Georgia Bulldogs fan, so you have a lot of college football content from me. You follow me on Twitter at CallOnTyrone_ATL. If you want to follow my personal account, you'll just see me post random stuff. I post everything. It's not if I post about sports, it's usually in between me posting about music, posting about social life and stuff like that. But follow Fila_SP for all your Atlanta sports news, and yeah, that's it.
All right, Noah, close us out. Let us know where we can find you, my friend.
Yeah, I share a lot of the same sentiment with Tyrone because conglomerate business. So yeah, Fila. I touched on Mad Mike Sports earlier. He was actually in the chat, so you can find him that way. You also have Maggie T, one of the main producers, basically the mother of the entire of both channels, really. So go ahead and show them support. We almost have a friend of ours on YouTube with K Styles. He's on his way to be having 1,000 subscribers. So I suggest, hey, if you're new and if you want some Falcons content just to kind of even out your knowledge of everything, go ahead and go over here and support him. Get him to 1,000 because that's going to be a huge milestone for him, but it's only going to be the beginning. As for me, I'm just kind of there. I'm there whenever they need me. But hey, if you said you got schooled, they ain't call me the professor for nothing. So I'm just gonna say, hey, I can send some links down there as well.
The professor came in tonight. Go ahead, Tyrone. What's up?
Shout out K Styles. He's a Georgia Tech fan. So if you're a Georgia Tech fan, go to his channel. If you want to talk about the little brother all day, you can go talk to the little brother about him. You want to talk about the big G behind me, the big red and black G. You can come talk to me about that. I don't talk about that other school in downtown Atlanta. That's the school we don't like.
All right. Well, all great shout outs, even supporting the mama. Gotta love it. All right, guys. Well, tomorrow night we're going back home to Florida to visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We appreciate you guys, and we are out.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission.